Company! Forward march!
I'm lonesome since I crossed the hill and over the moor.
Hold this position!
Geez, such heavy thoughts. My heart to
Present
fill,
artillery!
departing from my side. I seek no more the fine and gay, for each does just remind me how sweet the years I passed away with the girl I left behind me.
Welcome to Bot Commander, a strategy-based Napoleonic wargame where you take command of your own infantry line. You can issue a variety of commands like firing, charging, as well as forming various formations. This game has a wide selection of interesting maps, with each requiring different tactics, and includes many nations such as Britain, France, and Prussia, with each having their own authentic uniforms. So, it seems like some people have been wanting another guide video for quite a while now, so hopefully the few years of wait was worth it. Anyways, before I begin, here are the things that will be included in the guide. The very basics, such as issuing commands and formations, the different types of game modes and how to win them, the level progression system, including the different ranks and uniforms, some basic yet important tips, and some useful tactics as well. I will also include timestamps so you can easily find the topic you want. Now, let's begin.
Present fire!
Just a quick disclaimer before I start. There is already a small tutorial which plays when you first join the game, and which can also be activated again by typing !tutorial in the chat.
Die, you
This will also cover the basics, so you can use that instead if you like. Now, to be able to issue commands, first you'll need to spawn in your bots. To do this, click this button in the bottom right. You can also type refresh bots to do so. To make them follow you, click on march in the movement commands. It should be clear that with all other commands, you can either type the command in chat or click on the respective key or command box. For example, march is a number 2 key if you're using legacy commands like me. Otherwise, it would be 1. Editing sucker here. So in a recent update, legacy commands were completely removed, so you can disregard my rambling about the differences between a legacy and the new command keys. Now, back to the video. Just keep in mind that typing is slower than clicking the buttons or keys, but you can use whatever you want. Moving on, you can stop your units in place by using Halt. Face will make your bots face where you are looking, with this being useful if you need to quickly face an enemy without repositioning your line. If you take some casualties and gaps appear in your line, then you can press this button or type fill gaps, filling the gaps in your line. By the way, these are what all the other buttons do. But watch out, you can get shot in this game, so if that ever happens, you can press teleport to bots to bring you right back to where you were. Now, with movement mastered, let's see how you can fight with your men.
But what about charge? That's a movement command.
Shut up, I'm getting to that. To fire a volley, click on make ready, present, and finally fire. Then click reload, as you must reload each time you fire. With quite a long reload coming in at 15 seconds, if you are in a situation where you need to cancel your reload, use march or charge. The aim command allows you to aim higher or lower and is very useful for firing further than the normal fire command. Simply click make ready and present, then press aim and you will see these white lines. Click and they will fire. I'll be covering this command further in my tips later on. You can fire multiple volleys without your input using fire at will. Simply click make ready and present and then click on fire at will. Your men will now fire repeatedly until you use the ceasefire command.
Ceasefire!
Prepare ripple will cause your men to fire like this. Personally, I don't use this command, but it does look cool. To revert it back, click on prepare volley. Your men will now fire all at once. But no battle is good without a good old bayonet charge. You can charge the enemy with bayonets by clicking on charge. Charging is useful for countering an enemy's charge, or when you have found a weakness in the enemy's lines.
Go, go, go! Charge!
But be careful with this command. Unless you want to destroy your line, avoid charging into multiple lines at once, or lines that can be reinforced, and expect a shower of lead if you are charging head-on to a foe who has time to fire at you. Keep in mind that your men slow down the longer you charge, with the speed reduction starting 4 seconds after initiating a charge. It then takes 6 seconds to reach the minus 25% speed penalty, so after charging for 10 seconds, your men are tired and are much slower, so charge up close. Formations allow your men to form up however you wish, and I will cover each one and its uses. Forming one rank sets your men into a single row and is useful for covering a larger area with a bigger firing radius, although it lacks concentrated fire, which makes it less accurate. I recommend using this formation if your line is depleted. Forming two ranks sets your men into two rows and is useful for inflicting concentrated firepower, and is effective within tighter spaces, although it does lack a wider fire area. In all my time of playing Bot Commander, this is a formation that I normally use. Forming right and left changes which side your men will form on. SFL and double column set your men into 1 and 2 columns behind you respectively. I recommend using these when traversing past obstacles and buildings, because sometimes if they get stuck, they just sit there. And finally there is the arrow, forming your men into an arrow on either side of you. This formation is sort of useless to say the least. To be honest, I don't see anyone above level 10 use this in game. Some people claim that arrow allows you to fire at multiple enemies at once and protect points, but as of now, you can't normally face 2 different directions at once, and it only covers a tiny bit more area than 2 ranks. I mean, other people seem to agree it's bad, and I've never used it, so just like the ripple command, it is best used for looks, and I wouldn't use it. Now that you know what all the commands do, let's move on to the different game modes, and more importantly, how to win them.
Chargez les baïonnettes! Chargez!
There are 3 different types of game modes, with each requiring different strategies to win. Deathmatch, Capture the Point, and Reinforcement. Deathmatch involves both teams trying to kill as many as they can within 20 minutes, with the side with the most kills by the end emerging victorious. Being defensive, using your shots wisely, and not risking unnecessary casualties will set your team up for a win. Capture the Point involves either a point or a set of points across the map which each side has to capture. Each point captured takes away 1 point from the enemy every second, with the round ending when one side's points reaches 0, with the other being victorious. Being aggressive and utilising well-timed charges with your allies to capture points will ensure a swift victory. Lastly, Reinforcement involves each side starting with 300 points per every 10 players, and you must deplete their points by inflicting casualties. Similar to Deathmatch, you do not want to throw away unnecessary lives. Be defensive and make your shots count.
Merde.
With all of these victories, promotion is guaranteed. Let's see what ranks and uniforms you may earn as you progress in the game.
I'm giving you a field commission. From this moment on, you're a lieutenant in the 95th.
Let's
Leveling up in Bot Commander rewards you with higher ranks and snazzy new uniforms. Although they are just cosmetic, they are a great incentive for players to work towards, as well as a way to show your experience within the game. The level progression system is simple. You level up once for every 25 kills or 250 XP, with each kill awarding 10 XP. You can quickly check your rank and your progress to the next level by pressing tab, or by clicking on the newspaper icon. Upon reaching certain level milestones, you will be promoted to the next rank and receive the respective uniform. Every nation has their own ranks, but they all have the same milestones in place. For example, this is the British progression system, with all the others having the same structure but different rank names. As you can see, the last milestone is level 500, where you are awarded the prestigious Field Marshal rank and uniform. However, reaching the monumental level 1000, which I am, will award you with a cosmetic saber which will normally be purchased with a game pass. Donating 50 Robux to the Guest Productions group will award you with the recognised fan uniform, which is available for most nations. And if you somehow manage to be number 1 on the leaderboard, first of all touch grass, you will receive a unique uniform and rank of the respective nation's leader. What a flex! Now, with everything else out of the way, let's get on to the tips and tactics.
They fire 3 rounds a minute. You fire 2.
These basic tips will greatly help with your understanding of how to effectively fight and serve as a foundation of becoming a skilled officer on the battlefield. These tips are easy to understand and should be drilled into your brain. With nothing else to wait for, let's start with... I'll say this bluntly, don't fire too far. Muskets are inaccurate weapons and it shows in this game. This tip still stands from my guide 4 years ago, but especially when using the fire command, don't fire too far from the enemy. Your muskets have an effective range of 250 studs on flat ground, with their maximum range being 450 studs. Some shots may go further than that, but their accuracy drops off significantly any further. I recommend keeping this range chart in your head to refer to during battle. Note that when you are firing, you can observe your bullet's trajectory to see if they are going over the enemy or falling short and hitting the ground, and you can decide if you should move closer. Knowing not only how to hit your shots, but why you did or didn't, is crucial to becoming more accurate with your shots. However, the aim command allows you to fire more freely, and you can use this to fire much further. This flows nicely into my next tip, which is... As I mentioned before, the aim command allows you to fire wherever you want using your mouse or whatever else you've got, allowing you to fire higher or lower than you normally would with the fire command. Also, a recent update now allows you to aim inward and outward using the Z and C keys respectively, giving you even greater control of where your shots land. While this addition isn't doable on mobile devices at the time of posting, it will be given mobile support soon.
Holy dooly!
I recommend practicing using the aim command, but don't feel like you always have to use it. The fire command still fires relatively far and isn't useless. When you are aiming, take in consideration of how far the enemy is. There is bullet drop in this game, which is when the bullet falls to the ground due to gravity. To counter this, you'll need to aim higher the further the enemy is. At shorter distances up to 200 studs, aim for the balls to the chest. At medium distances up to 350 studs, aim for the upper chest to the head. And at longer ranges up to 500 studs, aim around half a bot above their line. Any further than this, and you might as well pray that you hit a shot. But if you really want to mess around, you can hit enemies from ridiculous distances like this. You just gotta aim very high and pray that the RNG favours you. But just know you're not the 95th Rifles, so get closer if you can. Keep in mind that it will take practice to be able to effectively hit your shots with the aim command, and you should take every volley as a learning experience, using those as a guide to hit your next shots. If you are in immediate danger and you're not confident with the aim command yet, use the fire command. It is much better suited for a beginner, with the fire command still being reliable in most situations. Morale is very important during battle and represents your men's willingness to fight. Your morale can be viewed in the bottom left corner in this bar, which upon refreshing your bots is at half. Morale impacts your bot's reload speed, charge damage, and accuracy.
Steady, steady. Wake him out of your head, wanker.
It is negatively affected by losing men, especially in a shorter amount of time, and it is positively affected by killing enemies and being near allied lines. Although, kills and losses in melee don't affect your morale for some reason. Note that morale always increases or decreases towards the middle after some time if no other factors are affecting it. But don't be afraid, your men won't rout and run away even if their morale is at rock bottom. But their reload time will noticeably increase, and you shouldn't expect much from them in charges and firefights. You can avoid this by being near your allies and pulling out of unfavourable situations to preserve your morale. During the heat of battle, situations can quickly change and you must be aware of the changing conditions around you, such as an enemy flanking or an unexpected enemy charge destroying your allies. When you are engaged in combat, be aware of your surroundings and not just the enemy you're firing at or charging. When you're firing, look around the battlefield every so often. Is there an enemy flanking, or are your allies faltering at the centre? You can tell your allies about the danger or reinforce to counter the attack. Before you charge in melee, observe if your enemy can be reinforced. Focusing on one line and not the others around to support them is called tunnel vision, and you should prevent this from happening in melee or ranged combat. I've fallen victim to this many times. I could be firing away, then an enemy charges me in the flank, which I thought my allies had secured. Even if you feel safe knowing your flanks are secured by your allies, it doesn't hurt to look around. If you feel safe, it doesn't mean you are. Depending on which server you join, you will either be fighting with 10 IQ Lance Corporals or with God tier Field Marshals. But no matter what, it is always best to coordinate and work with your team on tactics, whether it is by a chat or by your own actions on the field. For example, if your ally is charging into an enemy with unfavourable odds, you can reinforce them and make a much stronger charge. As I've learned in this game, 2 lines charging at once is unstoppable. This can be done vice versa. You could charge and hope that your allies nearby follow. But, to be honest, teamwork isn't really going to be shown a lot in this game, and sometimes they're as useful as a chocolate teapot. But, you should also reinforce your allies nearby, whether it is through supporting fire or charging alongside them, as your teamwork can win the day. Utilising cover on the battlefield is crucial to keeping your men alive or hidden from the enemy. Using cover such as hills to go on top of and fire below, then retreating behind and reloading is an effective way of using cover. Note that the higher elevated you are, the further your effective range is. As most newer players don't know how to aim, using hills and trenches to bamboozle them will ensure your men stay protected and alive. In such maps which have rivers and ditches, you can use them as cover. As you can see, their muskets can fire over while the ground protects their lower half. When using a ditch as cover, I recommend using the aim command to fire at enemies a bit higher, as your muskets are closer to the ground. Some cover such as foliage and buildings can also be used to hide your position. Buildings give you great protection but require you to fire out of cover as you can't just shoot through them, and with foliage being littered across maps such as Borodino, that's Marengo you dumbass, while not offering any physical protection, they will ensure their exact position isn't known. Unfortunately, your men do seem to vape when firing in foliage, so it would be wise to consider moving to a different spot if the enemy smells something fishy.
What the Master seems to intend and what he does will be as different as White Knight to Black Bishop.
Now we're getting into the big brain Napoleon stuff. These tactics will give you the edge over your opponents if you can pull them off correctly, and will greatly expand the different ways you could fight. With some of these tactics, I don't often use or have even heard about until now. Instead, a few of them were contributed by the many discussions from players within the guest productions community. Performing hit and run tactics on the enemy are useful for dealing damage to the enemy without them being able to fully retaliate. Hit and run can be done in melee and ranged combat, and involves marching up to a line, preferably when they are vulnerable, such as reloading or firing at another line, firing at them, then retreating to a safe position and reloading. Do understand that without something like a hill or ditch nearby to protect your reloading line when you fall back, it would instead be best to charge them if you're that close anyway. No use retreating back to Kingdom Come after unleashing a deadly close volley, or standing there and letting them fire a close volley at you in return. When performing this in melee, you would charge a weaker enemy line which is preferably not firing at you, but then pull out before their allies can react and support them. In a scenario when an enemy gets distracted by your charge and chases you after you retreat, you can use this next tactic. Performing a false retreat involves running away from an enemy who is most likely charging at you with tunnel vision. After a while, if the enemy hasn't given up on chasing you, they will be separated from reinforcements and an ally should see your predicament and come to your aid. While this is a lifesaver if you do not favour charging the enemy line, who will happily turn you into a fine red paste, this does require teamwork, which is a lot to ask for sometimes. But it's not like your allies wouldn't see an enemy line bomb rushing into their side, right? Well yeah, obviously, they're not as dumb as I portray them to be. Note that this will not work with experienced enemy players, as they would most likely deviate their attention to someone else or abandon the charge, not willing to get themselves surrounded. This tactic is not about killing, but surviving. An effective flanking maneuver is critical to destroying an enemy's vulnerable side or rear, which can lead to the rest of their battle line to falter and shatter. This is also true in Bot Commander. The centre of the battlefield is usually where most of the fighting takes place, so taking advantage and going down the much quieter flanks could put more pressure on the enemy. But wait, don't just immediately go full Rambo on the flanks by yourself. To set up a successful flank, for example, in the maps of Marengo and Twinwood Bridge with bridges on either side, I recommend waiting until the forces in the middle are engaged before going across, as going too early could cause an enemy line to see you while not engaged, leading to them diverting their attention to your flanking position. It often depends on what the enemy decides to do, but be wary if you decide to go earlier. Flanks are much more effective with more people, so it is better if someone else is able to come across alongside you. Keep in mind that you should prepare to take the brunt of the damage if you are to open up a flanking maneuver. Flanking doesn't make your men invincible, it just gives you the element of surprise and the ability to divert the attention of some of the enemy's lines to you, allowing your allies to seize the advantage. Sometimes the enemy will try to flank you first, so always stay alert and hinder their ability to pull off a flank, such as firing at them as they are trying to cross the bridge in a vulnerable double column formation. With some battles, you don't need to flank, and you should instead fight in the centre, but if there's a great opportunity, always try to outmaneuver the enemy and surprise them. Charging in column can greatly reduce the amount of casualties you take from charging an enemy, especially one that is ready to fire at you. This involves forming your line into a column, marching towards the enemy, then charging. As you can see, in the column there are a lot less men that can be shot from a volley. You can't concentrate fire with a line unless the enemy pulls something like this. So this part was written before they added an update where you can concentrate your shots, but this tactic still holds. If the enemy does get a shot off, and you, being in front, happen to die, initiate the charge quickly and teleport back. You should already be close if the enemy's fired. This tactic doesn't mean you can just charge full strength lines, you will still lose a few men in the worst case scenario. Since your men form up into a blob during the charge, they can quickly kill one enemy and mow everyone else down, unlike a spread out one. Well, since we're on the topic of blobs, how about we move on to... Performing a blob allows you to both concentrate firepower and melee damage, as well as minimise damage from an enemy, whether being fired upon or charging one. Again, the new ability to be able to concentrate fire when aiming makes firing with blobs less viable, but it still shines in melee. A blob works well in a charge, since a dozen of your men are stabbing one guy at once, annihilating him, then moving on to the next victim. But during a normal charge, your men are more spread out, taking longer to kill their target. Performing a blob can be done like this. You march in a double column, then swoop back while facing the same direction, and move into the centre of your men. If you wish to fire or stop while maintaining the blob, press halt or make ready to keep your men in place. It can also be easily done in 2 ranks, but just make sure to always swoop into the middle and lead your men into each other. Perfecting a blob may take a few tries, so if you're struggling to form one, especially in the heat of battle, it is best to focus on the battle instead. And that just about concludes your officer training. I hope you found this guide helpful and informative, but if not, this is a far cry from my usual content, but I had a lot of fun making this guide, and I would greatly appreciate it if you could support my work for a like, comment, or subscription. Seriously, this video took months of blood, sweat, and tears to make. Please just give me anything. Now, get out into the battlefield and make your country proud. Good luck, officer.
Here's 40 shillings on the drum to those who'll volunteer to come to list and fight the foe today, over the hills and far away, o'er the hills and o'er the main, through Flanders, Portugal and Spain. King George commands and we obey, over the hills and far away.